hundreds of them. We ought to put them all on YouTube because they're evergreen. You see what I was doing 15, 14, 13, 12 years ago, 11 years ago, 10 years ago. It all came true. You can take what we're talking about there and play it today, and it's exactly what's ongoing with this incremental tyranny. Now, that's the real foundation of the Tea Party. That's where it really started. All over the country, from Michigan to California to New York to Texas, similar people out standing up. Okay? Ragtag bands. That's what happened in the 15 years plus leading up to 1775, 1776 with the committees of correspondence out educating people. Small minority of people that had the truth. Now, 9/11 truth, about 6 years ago, started having tea parties to protest the fraud of 9/11. And then those grew into protesting the Federal Reserve and the New World Order. And then 3 years ago, the first Tea Party for Ron Paul was the idea of local Austin activist, not even mine, but we supported it and promoted it. And they had, the news reported, close to 1,000 people at one, 500 at another. They went on the Congress Street Bridge. It was all over the news. And then all over the campuses, they were called Tea Parties for Ron Paul. But really, if you can say one place it was all born, Austin, Texas is the first Tea Parties for Ron Paul. The first real Tea Party for 9/11, 6 years ago in Boston. 9/11 Truth and others in Boston, where they would throw copies of the 9/11 Commission report into the water. So that's what's really been going on and happening. Now fast forward to Ron Paul, and the neocons have taken over the main Tea Party. They call it Tea Party Nation, a corporation, and they're running people against Ron Paul in Texas. The Republican Party, the Democrats don't even oppose him. The Republicans don't want a real constitutionalist. Here's Rachel Maddow talking about it, then we'll play a clip of Ron Paul. Here it is.
Supporters of Congressman Ron Paul back in December 2007, celebrating the 234th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party with rallies across the nation and an online money bomb that raised millions of dollars for Ron Paul's presidential bid in 2008. Congressman Ron Paul's candidacy was arguably the spiritual godfather of what's now become the Tea Party movement. The current figurehead of the movement, arguably, is Sarah Palin. She's endorsed Ron Paul's son, Rand, who was open-minded enough to make his Senate campaign announcement several months ago on this very show. Rand Paul, like his dad, is philosophically a libertarian, but he's running for office as a Republican. Weirdly, Congressman Ron Paul himself is now under attack from the very movement that he seemingly inspired. He's getting primaried in his district in Texas by not one, not two, but three Republican challengers, all of whom have associated themselves with the Tea Party movement by attending or organizing Tea Party rallies. They're each apparently hoping that the anti-incumbent fervor of the Tea Party movement will sweep Ron Paul out of office. Yes, Ron Paul, the conservative candidate who in 2008 was able to draw more than 10,000 supporters away from the Republican National Convention with his libertarian message to attend his own shadow convention in Minneapolis. He's now getting challenged by the supposedly libertarian-leaning conservatives that his presidential candidacy inspired. If they're not cool with Ron Paul, who are they cool with? Joining us now is Dave Weigel, the senior reporter for the Washington.
Now let's go to, that was 2 nights ago. This is last night with Rachel Maddow at the intro of the piece with Sarah Palin saying the Republicans have got to take over the Tea Party. The same Republicans that tripled the size of government and expanded NAFTA and GATT, the North American Union, SPP. The same ones that lied about WMDs. The same ones that are, in many cases, going after our Second Amendment. The same people run by Wall Street, just like Barack Obama. Let's go ahead and go to this clip. Here it is.
The Republican Party would be really smart to start trying to absorb as much of the Tea Party movement as possible, because this is the future of our country. The Tea Party movement is the future of politics.
The Tea Party movement is a revelatory moment for us. It really puts in stark relief where the American people are, how they feel, and what they feel. And I think it's important for our party to appreciate and understand that so that we can move towards it, embrace it, and then move into the future.
That's the chairman of the Republican National Committee, and before him, the Fox News commentator they now say is the de facto leader of the Tea Party movement, arguing that the Republican Party's path back to power is that movement. That's the rhetoric. Well, today, rhetoric became reality in the state of South Carolina, where the state Republican Party and a coalition of state Tea Party groups agreed to work together moving forward. The merging has started. And the effort by the Republican Party to adopt and absorb what sells itself as a grassroots...
3 weeks ago, I had MSNBC here in my office with Chris Matthews. They understood none of this. I explained it all to them, and I said the Republican path to power is through the Tea Parties. They are word for word copying everything I said to them. And they claim in April they're going to air this hour-long documentary they plan to air, they said, at least 15 times. Chris Matthews makes these 3 times a year. His last one was about Kennedy dying. And so we'll see if they butcher what I had to say. But they couldn't even figure this out. No, I think they had it figured out. Because I told the media back in January of last year, 13 months ago, that there was no doubt about it, absolutely no doubt in the universe, that the Republicans were going to take over the Tea Party. We're the first to call it. And the controlled corporate fake liberal media came in and said this is Republican Party run when it wasn't. And Lloyd Doggett wasn't being booed. It was all staged. And I explained and played clips of Perry and Cornyn in Texas and other Republicans being booed everywhere they went when they were trying to take over the Tea Party right at the beginning. But the media never told anybody that because they wanted to make it a partisan issue, phrase it and frame it as that, so Republicans would all run into it, thinking it was the thing to do to get the Democrats mad. That's how they control opposition. It's just like Bush being against global warming taxes made all the Europeans get behind it, thinking, well, it must be real. And then he bait and switched and came out for it. They manipulate you across party lines.